Welcome to the bold analysis. Tomorrow on 13th May, different leaders are going to converge in Jambini. That is Nyandarua County for the burial ceremony of the surviving widow of Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi, Mama Mukami Kimathi. But there is some disturbing reports emerging today that Maina Njenga's home was raided by a contingent of security officers in what reports are emerging that is highly connected to the tomorrow's burial ceremony in Nyandarua. And then questions asking, what is the threat profile of Maina Njenga, who is not really an elected leader, but of course is someone that is well known for in this country to be a wheel dealer in terms of political persuasion. So ladies and gentlemen, for those who've been following, there are two events that I want us to link, maybe put this event into context, this occurrence into context. Some time back, there was a video that emerged, and I think that is the video you're seeing here, of Maina Njenga singing some Mau, chanting some Mau songs with some youths, and was also seen to be praying about the unity of the region. And he's a man that experts say has a potential of whipping the mountain around him. But remember, he is not coming under the shadow of Azimio leader Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, or William Ruto, but is coming as another alternative voice. And if you look at the current discussion, the silent supremacy battle going on is who is going to be the next kingpin. When Rigathi Gachagua is going through, wants to get it through William Ruto's shadow of power, Uhuru Kenyatta on the other end is looking very silent and is not interested in pointing on who can be the successor, if indeed is leaving it. And so the field has remained open for any other leader that wants to get a space. And what is happening borders what can be seen as just trying to suppress other leaders, with the reports linking that powerful state officials are silently behind the intimidation, or rather on Maina Njenga. Tomorrow, the burial is going to be there, and during a service that was held there, someone that was held there, we actually saw leaders showing interest that they're going there. Raila Odinga had said he will attend. Uhuru Kenyatta is not yet confirmed, but William Ruto is supposed to lead the state in attending it. We are yet to find out whether the Uhuru Kenyatta is going to attend. So we are really paying close attention to understand how that will develop. Why is Maina Njenga a man that is being sought after? That is the question that everyone, all of us are asking. Because recently, he also met Kalonzo Musyoka. I think that was yesterday. He met Kalonzo Musyoka, and really the experts were looking at it as he's also trying to be politically positioned, signaling that he's trying to position himself on the Azimio la Umoja side. And probably they are also trying to plan on how the Azimio leadership, if they go to attend, maybe try to prepare ground for them when they decide to attend. I understand that in the past he had said that he will also try to mobilize the youth, maybe to protect former President Uhuru Kenyatta from the current attacks that are now being engineered in the altar of political revenge. Now, I want to narrow down and say why he's becoming a person of interest lately in the wake of the turn of events, in the wake of rebellion then building in the mountain. Maina Njenga is coming from Laikipia. And last time, I think he was on the side of Azimio la Umoja. And I think he did not vie for any political seat. But I've decided to use Rigathis needle against him. He's using Rigathis medicine against him. The Mau Mau question. And if you compare him and those who are talking about Mau Mau, he has a profile of defending the community. And I want to use a very wrong example. In 2007, after the 2007, if you follow the stupid events of 2007, he was largely mentioned as to had really mobilized under the guise of protecting the interest, or rather protecting our people. And I really led some groups of youth. He was on record saying that the poster really led some groups of youths. So if you look at the way he is trying to project himself, he's actually projecting himself that as a man who is genuinely a little Mau Mau warrior. And you know, the Mau Mau question, I've always said, it does not click when you try to praise it with those who fought back then. But you must find a way you customize it, you package it, the messaging that it can also relate to these young people now. Because the priority of these young people is their liberation. And he is trying to he actually dethrowing Rigathi Gachagua and suppressing the other pseudo leaders that are talking about the Mau Mau question. So he's seen as a man who is suppressing them and is actually taking the accolades with the youth. Now, this is, he's benefiting and reaping a lot from disgruntled Mount Kenya hustlers. I can say that if there is a region that is very elastic now, is that Mount Kenya region. Because since even though the last general election, every political narrative was largely formed, or rather crafted, targeting the region. The hustler nation was targeting them, was targeting the region. But upon resumption, upon acquisition of power, it is not, I'm trying to get, it is not reciprocal. The kind of delivery, or rather, the kind of administration, the benefit that the same region are getting is not reciprocal to the kind of hype at the campaign trail. It's not directly proportional to what was promised. In fact, there was a lot of emphasis there. So there are quite a number that are detaching from the current administration, not because they're not reaping, but because they're not getting what was promised. The premise of elect us because Uhuru has failed was temporary. And it could only sell at that moment. But you cannot sustain it for the next 5 years because everyone else knows that Uhuru is no longer in power. And you did not promise, and when you promise, you did not take into account that there are eventualities, there are some realities coming in future. So he's reaping from disgruntled youths and even other people. I can tell you that I want to use a very good example. There is currently illicit brew war, a very good plan to try to, another attempt, I want to say attempt because there have been even previous attempts in the past, but they never succeeded. And I saw in Muranga, in some areas, the leadership, there was some leaders lined up residents for some secret ballot so that they can name those who are in the illicit brew. And it's a very laughable. In fact, it's just a populist. It was just a populist strategy because the provincial administrations, the chiefs, assistant chiefs, and even the police around those places, they know those homes. They know the chums and the restaurants that are selling that illicit brew. Now, what you would actually see is a situation where if you successfully deal with the vice, you deal with the cartels. Let me use that word. Allow me to use that word. I'm one person that don't appreciate the word cartel. Okay, if you deal with those who are selling it, then you deprive the youth of it abruptly. One, you are going to provide a breeding ground for the illicit bro, because it will be sold. And those ones that are now illicit now will get their way into the market because everything will black market. But that is not it. The moment you will just do it abruptly without getting a buffer zone, without having a budget that is set aside by the county government to establish rehabilitation centers and or even take those who are affected to the rehabilitation centers, then you will actually get a backlash from the society. Either the parents are going to cry, we are losing our children, or the youths themselves will gonna turn the administrations against them. So he's likely to pick up from them. Apart from those who are promised jobs here and there, and development and roads, that group and the women there, and actually in Mount Kenya is where you will see women in the front line, by the way. If you look at those mass actions, you see women in the front line. So Maina Njenga is likely to rape from those disgruntled group. But then, he's also representing the Laikipia factor. The Laikipia factor is also a big thing why he's also come a point of interest. And if you look at Laikipia, they are not in conformity, fully in conformity to the UD administration, because even Mwangi Kiunjuri is on record saying that both Uhuru and both Raila and Ruto controls half of the population. Each one of them controls nearly half of the population. So no one can come out and brag that he is in charge of the masses. And on that, you've seen a bit of Laikipia. Even in this illicit brew discussion, Laikipia is not in it. You can do your research. You'll find out that Laikipia is not part of it. And it's a bit of a mixture of the pastoralists and the farmers, you know. So with that, it is more likely, and it's going through a lot of challenges compared to those other counties. So it's more likely that the gentleman might not be eyeing the national cake, but he might be planning to hold grip of Laikipia. And when you hold grip of Laikipia, is most likely, because I don't think Maina Njenga can vie for presidency. I don't think that would be it. Maybe it's a senator, MP, or some governor. So with that, he might actually also deflate the Mount Kenya basket. That's why he's also it. Maina Njenga is perceived as Uhuru Kenyatta wheel dealer and is a man that can actually destabilize and change the status quo. Being seen as Uhuru Kenyatta sympathizer, probably those who are after him are looking at him as a man who is indirectly reviving Uhuru Kenyatta's clout in the region, and though he can be a route that can easily be used to plow Rigath's empire that they are building there. So with him, dealing with him is indirectly trying to suffer a blow. Those who could be behind it, you know, Kenyatta family and Uhuru Kenyatta cannot leave the politics, at least not now. Maybe they can live in the next 20 years or so, but at least not now because of the kind of commercial interest and the business interest they are holding can only survive with political immunity from political interference. So those who are after Maina Njenga are also seeing him that is a man that is Uhuru Kenyatta sympathizer and will actually change the tide uh, about that. Um, the third thing, I think there are those who are interested and they're pursuing, trying to plant some political polarization so that the Azimio leadership will shy away from attending Mukami's burial. Or better still, it can be trying to plant the seeds of discord in the region, try to find some warring factions so that when the Azimio leadership probably will attend there, you will clearly try to attribute some kind of friction to their presence there. So they might have realized probably there were plans for reception, a good reception, because what will people want in a situation where Raila is not received well in those areas if you're going to attend? So this could also be a plan of an intimidation scheme to make sure that he's scared away and that the ground is polarized and it becomes a bit of not a very good ground for them to attend. Because I can tell you that when Rigathi is there, when Rigathi is then realized there, it will be very difficult to throw your jabs. But I know Rigathi doesn't care. He can. That is a very good. And yesterday I was in town asking, should Raila attend? Someone told me a very good. I can't remember the name. He told me, he's in town. He told me, Kevin, Raila too and Uhuru Kenyatta has supporters there. And the reason why people are so much against the powerful forces will be against those who are going against the grain in the mountain is because there is some simmering failure. There is some collapse that things seems to be failing, and the youth and the people of the mountain might actually start hating the administration. And if an alternative route can emerge, because Maina Njenga would also not even sway the youth towards Azimio, because if you sway the youth towards Azimio, it will turn against Uhuru Kenyatta. It will be a backlash. It will be something, a return of Uhuru Kenyatta. And that's what people will campaign against on. But it will also maybe present a candidature, a presidential candidature, and try to galvanize the region that, look here, we also need to get power. So there is a lot of it that is going on in the background. But I do believe that the political goonism is something of the past. We need to outgrow that and make sure that we really mean well when we are doing about this. We are waiting for what's going to happen at Mukami's burial. Asante sana.